Imagine waking up one morning with the disquieting awareness that the life you're living doesn't truly belong to you, that every choice you've made, every conviction you hold, and even the cravings that propel you forward might not arise from your deepest core. Instead, they may be shaped by expectations, conditioning, and invisible pressures from the world around you. Consider this: how much of your identity reflects your authentic self, and how much is a carefully crafted mask molded by outside demands? How often do you feel like you're performing a part, following a script penned by society, your upbringing, or the fears that murmur at the edges of your mind? Today, you begin an inquiry into one of Carl Jung's most penetrating insights: the notion that life truly starts only when you discover yourself. But what does it mean to discover yourself? Is it merely becoming self-aware, or is there a deeper, more transformative process unfolding? As the hidden forces shaping your identity come into view, you start to grasp why so many never genuinely find themselves and how liberation becomes possible. The final understanding here is the most potent of all, with the power to change not only how you see yourself, but also how you meet the world. Carl Gustav Jung was a pioneer of depth psychology, a thinker who moved beyond conventional models of the mind to explore the vast, concealed territories of the unconscious. Unlike many contemporaries, Jung did not see mental health as simply conforming to social norms. He viewed psychological growth as a journey toward individuation, the becoming of one's most genuine self. Yet the reality is stark. Most people never embark on that journey. They remain confined to selves sculpted by external forces. They live by expectations, rarely asking whether the life they inhabit aligns with who they truly are. They chase validation from outside, assuming happiness lies in approval, success, or fitting in, while a quiet unrest persists beneath the surface. Jung held that real life begins when you stop fleeing from yourself. But before exploring what it truly means to find yourself, you must recognize what keeps most people from ever doing so. From the moment you arrive in the world, you are conditioned, handed a name, an identity, and predefined roles. You are taught what is acceptable and what is forbidden, what draws rewards and what invites punishment. This happens so subtly and gradually that you seldom question it. You adapt and conform, and over time you learn to suppress parts of yourself that clash with imposed expectations. Think back to childhood. Did you ever express yourself freely only to meet disapproval? Perhaps you were told to be practical, to stop being too sensitive, or that certain feelings and longings were inappropriate. Slowly you learned to hide those facets, tucking them away where no one would notice. In doing so, you began to fashion a mask, what Jung called the persona. The persona is the face you present to the world. It helps you function socially, navigate relationships, and gain acceptance. But here's the dilemma. The more you mistake this mask for yourself, the more you drift from your real nature. You start believing you are the persona, forgetting the deeper reality beneath it. On the other side lies the shadow. If the persona is what you show, the shadow is what you conceal. It holds everything you have rejected or pushed down: your fears, unspoken desires, vulnerabilities, and even hidden strengths. Crucially, the shadow does not evaporate just because you refuse to see it. Instead, it moves under the surface, shaping thoughts, behaviors, and emotional reactions. The parts you exile do not disappear. They emerge in unconscious ways, often through projection. Have you ever strongly disliked someone without quite knowing why? Have certain behaviors in others triggered an outsized reaction in you? Jung believed that when qualities in others disturb you, It's often because those very traits live within you, hidden in your own shadow. Now consider this. Within the shadow lies the key to genuine self-discovery. The aspects you've suppressed and ignored are not adversaries. They are missing pieces of your wholeness. Jung's pivotal insight was that growth is not about erasing the shadow, but integrating it. It means peering into your own unconscious and confronting what you have denied. When you do, you unlock a deep reservoir of power, authenticity, and freedom. This is where the true journey begins. Are you willing to face who you are and break free from the illusions that have shaped you? What follows challenges everything you assumed you knew about yourself and opens the way to a life that genuinely feels like yours. Most people move through life convinced they already know who they are. They define themselves by name, occupation, culture, and past experience. Yet your identity is likely far more intricate than you realize. The self you take yourself to be is a surface construct, only a fraction of a deeper, more profound reality. Jung proposed that within each person lies a hidden world, a vast, intricate inner landscape of forgotten memories, suppressed feelings, unacknowledged desires, and untapped potential. The path to finding yourself is not about fabricating a new identity, but uncovering what was buried. Pause and reflect. Have you ever felt an inexplicable longing for more? A sense that a fuller version of you is waiting to emerge? That pull is not fantasy. It is the voice of your unconscious inviting you towards something greater. Jung called this process individuation, holding that real fulfillment arises not from conforming outwardly, but from integrating all parts of yourself. The good and the bad, the light and the dark must all be included. But before integration comes confrontation. Many halt here, because facing yourself is uncomfortable. It asks you to look at traits you've long avoided. It demands you question entrenched beliefs, challenge your fears, and address the inner conflict shaping your life. Consider how often you avoid silence. How often do you drown yourself in work, social feeds, or entertainment to dodge sitting alone with your thoughts? This constant distraction acts as a defense mechanism. It keeps you from the deeper questions simmering beneath the surface. No matter how you try to evade them, these hidden aspects do not vanish. They surface in unexpected ways. Through anxiety, self-sabotage, unfulfilling relationships, or a persistent sense of being lost. Jung believed the unconscious is always speaking, though you may have learned to ignore its messages. When you start listening, patterns emerge. You notice how old wounds steer your choices, how suppressed desires guide your actions, and how what you fear most often contains your greatest lessons. Take a simple example. Fear of rejection. Many live terrified of judgment or abandonment, chasing approval, avoiding conflict, and silencing their true thoughts to keep the peace. But where does this fear originate? Other people's opinions, or something deeper? Perhaps it traces back to an early wound, a moment of feeling unseen or unworthy. Jung would say this fear is a shadow aspect that hasn't been fully acknowledged. Until it is brought into awareness, it will govern behavior from behind the curtain. When you face these concealed parts, they lose their hold on you. Imagine living without the dread of judgment, speaking honestly, choosing based on what resonates within, rather than what others expect. This is the essence of individuation. It is not about becoming someone else. It is about becoming more fully who you are. So how do you begin uncovering the unconscious forces shaping your life? Jung held that symbols, dreams, and introspection open doors to the unconscious. He viewed dreams as messages from the deeper self, revealing truths about the psyche. He also emphasized creative expression, art, writing, music, and other explorations, as paths to access and integrate the unconscious. Perhaps the most crucial step is simple: awareness. The moment you question your thoughts, reactions, and deeply held beliefs, you set transformation in motion. When you stop fleeing discomfort and meet it with curiosity, you begin reclaiming your true self. Here's the truth. Many spend their entire lives strangers to themselves, walking the routes laid out for them without realizing they can choose differently. They suppress their real nature, never discovering that their greatest strength lies in embracing the entirety of who they are. You are not bound to that fate. You can cast off illusions, peel away layers of conditioning and fear, and meet life fully, standing in the fullness of yourself, unafraid and unapologetic. Within you also reside hidden archetypes, ancient patterns embedded deep in the psyche that hold the keys to your greatest potential. Understanding them can reshape how you see yourself. If finding yourself were as easy as deciding, everyone would live in harmony with their true nature, yet the path is far more intricate. It's not simply about choosing who to be, but uncovering the forces that formed you, facing what you rejected, and weaving those parts into an authentic whole. Why then are you drawn to certain habits, desires, or fears, repeating the same mistakes even when you try to change? Jung's answer was groundbreaking. Universal patterns within us act like deep psychological blueprints influencing thought, emotion, and behavior beyond our full awareness. He called these archetypes. Jung argued that archetypes are ancient, collective images housed in the collective unconscious, a layer of psyche shared by all humans, inherited from ancestral experience. These patterns shape identity, relationships, and even perception. Think of recurring tales across history: the hero's quest, the wise guide, the dark adversary, the innocent child. These figures appear in myth, religion, literature, and dreams because they reflect forces within everyone. Whether you notice them or not, these archetypes are always at work in your life. Consider the hero archetype, the part of you that craves purpose and feels summoned to something larger. It is the impulse to overcome obstacles, grow stronger, and rise to a higher version of yourself. But the hero never travels alone. The shadow always accompanies it. The shadow, as noted, contains the repressed and hidden corners of the self, fears, weaknesses, and untapped potential. In myth, the hero must face the shadow, often as a beast, an adversary, or a daunting trial, before true evolution occurs. Now bring this home. Have you sensed a need to change but felt inner resistance? A moment when you could step into a larger self, yet fear, doubt, or self-sabotage pulled you back. That is the hero versus the shadow playing out inside you. The common mistake is to suppress the shadow rather than understand it. Jung maintained that change happens by integrating the shadow, not rejecting it, but learning from it. If you wrestle with self-doubt, don't pretend it isn't there. Ask where it began. Is the doubt truly yours, or did it grow from past hurts, cultural pressures, or borrowed voices? What instruction does it carry? Might that doubt conceal a strength, humility, reflection, or the capacity to see from multiple angles? When you treat struggles as messages from the unconscious rather than flaws, the entire picture shifts. And archetypes extend far beyond hero and shadow, with many inner forces shaping who you are. Among the most influential are the anima and animus. Jung believed every man carries a hidden feminine aspect, the anima, and every woman carries a hidden masculine aspect, the animus. These are not about physical gender, but the balance of inner energies. The anima speaks to intuition, feeling, creativity, and deep rapport with the unconscious. The animus reflects logic, structure, discipline, and assertiveness. When these energies balance, you feel whole. When they skew, inner conflict grows. A man who disowns his anima may struggle to express emotion, mistaking vulnerability for weakness. A woman who rejects her animus may hesitate to assert herself, holding back from directing her own life. When embraced rather than denied, these energies become profound sources of strength. Jung's essential truth is this: to find yourself, you must welcome every part, the light and the dark, the masculine and the feminine, the known and the unknown. Individuation is not about becoming something else. It is about becoming complete. There remains one final piece that binds all of this together, and it reaches deeper than fear, doubt, or conditioning. The most pervasive barrier to self-discovery lies in how you perceive reality itself. The deepest illusion is the illusion of self. Most assume the self is fixed, a single, unchanging identity moving through time, shaped by memory and experience. Jung, alongside many philosophers and mystics, offered a radical view. The self is not static but fluid, ever-shifting, and far larger than you've been led to believe. What if the you identify with right now is just a fragment of a much greater whole? What if the person you take yourself to be is one expression of a limitless consciousness evolving across generations through inherited wisdom and experience? Jung explored this through the idea of the self, not the small, ego-driven identity clinging to labels and fears, but the totality of who you are beyond the masks. This realization liberates and unsettles in equal measure. It means the stories you've told about yourself, your limits and your fears, are not the whole truth, but a temporary construction of the mind. Here is the most powerful recognition. You are not a solitary, isolated being. You are an immense, interwoven field of awareness carrying ancestral wisdom, unconscious depth, and a capacity for transformation beyond imagination. If that is so, why do you feel confined by suffering, doubt, and fear? The answer lies in the ego. The ego is not a villain. It generates a sense of separation, saying, "This is me and that is not," drawing boundaries and holding you to the familiar. Useful as it can be, the ego also stands as the chief obstacle to discovery. You are not limited to one identity. You are a being in continual evolution. The moment you release your grip on who you think you must be, possibilities multiply. So how do you move beyond the illusion and into your full existence? Jung pointed toward a path that asks for courage, deep introspection, and a willingness to surrender what you thought defined you. First, welcome the unknown. Though uncertainty can be frightening, it is the ground of growth and transformation. Turning toward your inner mysteries with curiosity lets you and the world come alive in new ways. Second, loosen your attachment to labels. You are not just a name, a role, a history, or a personality. You are something that defies neat definition, and letting go creates room for the larger self to appear. Third, attend to the unconscious. Dreams, instincts, and deep intuitions are not random. They are signals from the self guiding you toward wholeness. And the more you listen, the more patterns, synchronicities, and signs reveal your path. Finally, surrender to the unfolding. Finding yourself is not a finish line, but an ongoing revelation of deeper layers of truth. You were never truly lost. The self you seek has always been here, waiting to be remembered. Now the choice stands before you. Continue living as a fragment bound by old fears and illusions, or step forward into the unknown as the vast, limitless being you are. Life truly begins when you find yourself,